Ladies and gentlemen, this is Dungeons & Dragons Dark Alliance, and oh boy did this game have some problems. Before I get into those though, let me just take you through the game and watch you do on it. Show you the gameplay loop, and then once we're done with that, then we'll get into the issues that exist within this game. So to begin with, you choose from one of four characters. There's no character customization at all. Everything's pre-selected. And each character has their own class, their own function. Category, for instance, is the archer, so she would be your range character. Bruenor is your fighter, front row, tanky kind of character. Drizzt is the ranger in the games, and is more focused on dealing crit damage than the other four. And Wolfgar is your barbarian. He will focus more so on just doing pure damage, essentially. He is the main damage dealer of the group, from a melee standpoint. We're going to go through his Drizzt, because he's the most fun to play, for me personally. So we're going to go through as him, and I'm going to show you one level, and then we're going to discuss everything else. So to start with, this is the beginning hub area. This is where you're going to come at the end of every mission. It's where you're going to come at the beginning of every game. This is basically where you manage your characters. Over on this hand side, we have a shop, a merchant, where you can sell any gear you don't need. You can upgrade the gear you do have, and you can also unlock new consumables. Let's have a look at those now. Actually, I might be able to do something with that. Upgrade usable. I've got 16,000 gold. So I think what we're going to do is might actually upgrade the health potion so it restores 90% of my health. That's actually kind of useful. But then I also kind of want to upgrade what is basically a grenade so it deals more damage. I might go for that. For one, it's cheaper, and for two, dealing more damage is always good. So this is where you would come to upgrade your consumables. Anything with a lock on it, I can't use yet. All you do to unlock them is just pay money, essentially, and then you can choose which slot it goes into in your quick use consumables in the bottom left corner, which you'll see in just a second. You can also, like I said, upgrade your gear here. Same thing, choose which piece you want to upgrade. And then in the bottom right corner, you can either sell it or upgrade it, providing you have enough money and the right number of crystals, and the right kind of crystals. You can also change the skin of some items, not all of them. Like, I can't change it for my cloak at the moment, but other cloaks you can. I can make my headpiece look different. It doesn't add any bonuses to your gear by doing this. It just makes them look slightly different in case you wanted to want to color coordinate or do the opposite. Your choice. And then didn't mean to press that. Whoops. Upgrade material. This is just where you can scale up your upgrade crystals. You use these to upgrade the gear pieces of the corresponding color. So for example, green gear, you need the green crystals. Blue gear, you need blue crystals, and you can like trade upwards, again, providing you have enough money. That's what the shop is for. I might come back here after the mission to try and upgrade something if I can. Over on this side, we have the trophy area, where you can see all the bosses you've defeated, although there is this weird thing. I don't know if this is a bug or a feature, honestly, but you can only view the trophies for the bosses that you have killed with that particular character. So you'll see there's 4 statues here. There's 4 statues here, but as Drizzt, I can only view 3 of them. This means that I have not killed, I think it's those bosses. I haven't killed those bosses with this character yet, but I have with somebody else, and they would appear on that character's trophy board. Kind of makes sense, kind of doesn't. The thing about this game is there's one save file, and all the characters you choose share progress, but they don't share gold or materials, that kind of thing. So, for instance, I could start a brand new character if I wanted to, and I could jump right in on the latest level the latest mission that I've unlocked with the other characters. I don't need to start from the very beginning again. But they'll have 0 gold, 0 gear, 0 upgrade potential, so it might not be the best idea in the world. But yeah, it's weird that you can only view statues for the character that you've killed them with. But it's a minor thing, not a huge problem. This is the mission table, where you can choose where you're going next, and more importantly, what difficulty you're going to do it at. Now, this is kind of an important thing to talk about here. Although you can go through this entire game solo, it's very obvious that every single mission is kind of tuned to accommodate 4 players. Just because of how fast the difficulty increases as you go through. I'm going to wait till this guy finishes talking. I don't want to talk over him. Are you done? Alright, cool. So, yeah. The idea is, on the left-hand side there, it says Party Combat Power. And you'll see next to every single level here, Adventurer, Hero, Guardian, there's a number corresponding with it. Now, the idea is you're supposed to choose the difficulty which is closest to your combat power, or at least lower than your current combat power. So you'll see that it's recommending, hey, you can do these 3, but these 3 might be out of your league. Be careful if you do these. You can still choose them. It's not a restriction. It's more of a guideline. So if I wanted to, I could choose difficulty level 6 for this mission, and it would let me, but that would be a horrible idea because I would just get murdered. You know, I wouldn't even get beyond the first group of enemies, so there's no point there. But like I was saying before, this game is tuned. The enemies, the encounters, the enemy health, all of that stuff is tuned towards there being 4 people, which is a problem if you're going through solo. And honestly, if you're going to do that, what I'd recommend is go for 2 difficulty levels lower than the highest one it recommends. So at this point, it's saying, hey, this is your limit. Don't go above number 3. If you're at this point, keep it at number 1. In fact, keep it at number 1 until you unlock number 4, honestly. Because there have been times I've tried taking down a boss at the recommended combat score on my own with all 4 characters for difficulty number 2, and I just cannot do enough damage to do it on any character, so it's just a waste of time, honestly. Go through 2 levels below as recommended and you'll be fine. In fact, that makes the game better, honestly. I'll explain more of that when we get into the actual level. And that's pretty much it for the beginning. Oh, no, wait, there's one last thing. This is the reward chest. This is where all the gear that you pick up during the level, during the mission, gets put for you to collect afterwards. Now, that happens because you cannot equip the equipment you pick up in the mission during the mission. And at first I kind of figured that was a stupid idea because, well, why would you do that? But the more I think about it, it does kind of make sense. Because it essentially means that people won't stop every single time they pick something up to mess about with their gear. To like, compare what they've already got. You know, it kind of stops that dead in its tracks, and I do kind of appreciate that. That does make a bit of sense. So, what we're going to do is we're going to go in and do a mission. I've chosen one of the earlier ones, so as I don't unintentionally spoil anything for you guys. And the easiest difficulty level, for a number of reasons. 1, because I just said that's the best idea you can possibly do at this point. And 2, so I can actually commentate my thoughts without worrying about dying too much, basically. It's a twofold plan, and I do like it. So once you've selected your mission, this area lights up, and as soon as you step into that portal, the countdown begins. At that point, you cannot run back out and change your mind. You're committed to that level and that difficulty, so make sure that you're sure about where you want to go. So let's just go ahead and jump right into this. One thing I will say is this game has a very linear approach with all of its levels. There's no randomness to any of it at all. It's basically a collection of corridors. Aside from the odd room here or there where you can go to maybe pick up some other chests to get some more money, that kind of thing, it is largely one long corridor. Whether that's a plus to you or not is dependent on your preferences. I don't mind it too much, honestly, because I think if there's any kind of deviancy to a pathway, there should be something there, you know, rather than just have a dead end for the sake of there being a dead end. Like, coming down here, there'll be like a left and right pathway. Both, I think, lead to something. I say I think because I can't quite remember, it's been a while. Alright, here we go. So I just need to get past this trap. Don't walk too fast, but not too slow either. And we should be good. I'm going to pick up this to get some more money. And this item will be used to unlock a door somewhere. What might be this door around the corner, actually? I can't remember. But yes, each level is essentially one long corridor. And whether or not you're okay with that is a personal preference, in all honesty. These things contain the upgrade crystals that I was talking about before. Which ones you get from them is entirely random. All you do is just hit them once, in this case 10 common crystals. That's largely because of the difficulty level we're currently at. But you can also get greens and blues, uncommons and rares from the easiest as well. You might get the occasional rare, but it's unlikely. You would need to go to a much, much higher difficulty to make the rare ones more likely. Now, we're going to go into a combat, but before we do, I'm going to explain the screen to you. In the top left corner, red bar is the health, green bar is the stamina. Stamina is used for attacks, and as you attack, the stamina bar depletes. Naturally, if the green bar runs out, you cannot attack. That's pretty standard. The bar that's on the far right-hand side of the stamina gauge is the current maximum stamina. The more attacks you do, and the more you use the stamina in your attacks, that will slowly deplete. Let me see if I can make that move for you. There we go. Certain attacks depletes it on their own, but for the most part, it takes a chain of attacks to get it to move ever so slightly. Honestly, unless you're just constantly chaining heavy attacks over and over and over and over, and doing a few combo attacks, you're not going to run out of stamina ever. Unless you're playing Category, but that's an issue for after this level. So that's the top left corner. In the bottom left corner, we have the abilities of the character and the consumables. The red one is the health, the right one is called Alchemist Fire, which is basically a grenade, and the left one is resistance to physical damage. Useful, of course, if you're surrounded by a group and you think you might need a bit of extra defense to clear them out. That's what that is used for. The abilities just above that, you have a single triangle press and a triangle hold for each ability. Each character starts with 2, but you can... Well, they can only have 2 at any given time, but you can unlock more as you progress through the game, as you kind of increase in level and unlock them in the skill tree, which I'll show you when we get back to the camp. And the bar to the right of the consumables is the ultimate bar. Now, this fills up in a very unique way. Usually, games that have an ultimate bar in this kind of fashion, just dealing damage is enough to fill it up, or taking damage. This game, however, is a bit different. You have to do, not combos as such, but chains. So you'll see when I hit 5 hits in a row, the bar will increase. Assuming this guy lives that long. There we go. And then again at 10, then 15, and then I think it's every 10 after that. After it hits 20, I think. You look a bit tired. There we go. So that's how the ultimate bar fills up. Once that is filled up, you can then just press L3 and R3 to trigger it, and then that is that character's ultimate ability. Some are better than others, obviously, and this cannot be changed, as far as I'm aware. I haven't been able to do it yet. And this kind of makes sense, honestly, because that would just get really confusing, having too many things that you could choose from. Ooh, okay, we have a troll here. Excellent. Now, trolls are unique in this game. Well, unique enemies in this game in the fact that they're the only ones that can regenerate health when they go below a certain point. I'll see if I can trigger that here without accidentally killing it. Usually it takes 3/4 health for it to just work. I'm trying not to die at the same time. Which I shouldn't do, because again, easiest difficulty. Come on, get up, Drizzt. There we go. Regrowth is triggered, so he should be regaining health now. 36 each time. And it only lasts for a certain amount of time. But even so, honestly, if you keep attacking it, you should be able to just negate that quite easily. Right, we're hitting the first problem with the game. And since we're here, let's talk about it. Getting knocked down. Now that's a common thing in this kind of game. You know, and it does make sense. Being able to walk around and stay standing on your feet, dealing attack after attack when you're taking damage, doesn't really make sense. But one of the issues that happens is sometimes when you get knocked down, you get back up immediately whilst pressing, you know, your attack buttons. You get right back up and you start attacking again. You can hit your dash button, you know, like that, and then you again get back up immediately and dash out the way. But there are other times when you just kind of lay there for a good 10 seconds and there's nothing you can do about it. At all. And it's random, from what I can tell. There's nothing that determines whether or not you get knocked down and can get back up again immediately, or whether you get knocked down and then you're just kind of done for 10 seconds. You can just be hit and there's nothing you can do. I honestly don't know how to tell the difference here. But it's just one of the many annoyances of this game. So one of the things I haven't discussed is the top right corner, the objectives. Now the main objective will point you in the direction you need to go to finish the level. The optional objectives are usually the same. It's some form of find this particular enemy and kill them, and then it's either find and pick up this certain collectible or find and destroy this certain collectible. In this case, we're destroying something. Do you get anything extra for doing these bonus objectives? No, not really. I mean, you might get a gear drop from the optional thing you have to kill, but from the pickup in destruction side quests, nah, it's just a thing you do for the sake of doing it, which is kind of pointless. And there's no real purpose in that case, which is weird, because normally with side objectives, you know, they make it worthwhile in these kind of games. Like, oh hey, if we go and do this, we get, you know, a couple of 100 extra gold or whatever. Or something like that. That's usually how it goes. But not here. Apparently they figure people want to do side quests just for the sake of doing side quests. And I can tell you, nope. That's not what I'm all about. If I'm doing a thing, I want to get rewarded for it, you know? You don't want to do things just for the sake of it. It's a bit silly. Alright, so this is the combat loop, essentially. And this happens almost the same in every single instance. You'll kill a couple of enemies, and then a few more will spring up out of these traps, these holes in the floor. Then you kill them, and then that's it, combat over. Not particularly difficult, not particularly interesting. The interesting thing, though, is what happens after you clear a group out. This appears, not every time, but sometimes, like 4 or 5 times per level, I think. And you have a choice, as you can see here. I can either take a short rest or increase loot rarity. The option you want to take is increasing loot rarity, because that is what you need to increase the quality of the gear you get from the mission from that point forward. It does come with a downside though. If you don't take the short rest, you lose a potential checkpoint, which I think is a stupid way to design the game, if I'm being honest. I mean, you're already punishing yourself by not taking the increase in loot quality. But to also lose a checkpoint, I think is overkill. Because what that means is, because I've opted to not take that checkpoint, to not take the actual short rest, what happens now, if I die, I go back to the beginning of the level, and everything respawns. And I have to kill them all over again. Well, I don't have to. You can run past everything you've already done. If you get close to the ends and you unlock a door, for instance, and then die, you can just run right through the entire dungeon to get back to the point you were at. But it's the fact that it just puts you back at the beginning in the first place, which is annoying to me. You can also use this to refill your usables, consumables to everybody else, if you've used any, but honestly, if you find enough chests on your way, you won't need to do that. But even though I've literally just said that, oh, I need to do the thing, don't I? I need to put this here. Oh, I didn't blow up the other hole. Damn it. Hold on. That's the thing I gotta do. Let's pick you up. Then I can come over here. Put you in there. Then we're gonna have to head back. Forgot about that. Even though I said what you want to do is increase loot rarity, if you do, for whatever reason, decide to choose a higher difficulty, then you definitely want to take the short rest. You definitely want to create more checkpoints. Because, like I said, if you die, you go back to the beginning of the level. Which is... This comes back to it being a stupid design decision, because you need to get better gear so you can increase your combat level, so you can then go for higher difficulties. But you can't do that if you're constantly taking checkpoints, which you need to do to not get super frustrated with the game. You know? And it's honestly part of the reason why I said go for the easier difficulty. Now this only works to a point, of course. You can't stay on the super easy difficulty forever and then gear yourself up to the point where you can do difficulty level 5. That just doesn't work that way. Incidentally, enemies can also drop these shards. There are 3 of them. Red, green, and blue. No, red, green, and yellow, sorry. Not blue. Where'd I get blue from? And they each respond to, in order, red is health, green is stamina, and yellow is ultimate bar. Which, funnily enough, is actually full up now on this guy. Amazingly. Let's break this to get some more crystals. Might be a chest behind here. Oh, there's more money at least, so that's something. Alright, so we're looking for another lever to pull to get that chest. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use one of my abilities. If I hold triangle, I'm going to use the swarm. And then if I just walk close to things, they take damage. Which is fantastic. Especially if you get surrounded. Which you will do a lot if you're playing solo. And trust me, if you get surrounded by a lot of enemies and they start dealing damage to you, you're gonna get knocked down and you're gonna get stun locked. Oh, rare! Excellent. You're gonna get stun locked, and that's not fun for everyone. Okay, so that was an instance where I could just evade out of the knockdown quite easily. I wonder if I can trigger one where I have to stay on the floor for like 10 seconds. Come on, hit me. Hit me. Stop showing off and hit me. Yeah, here we go. Oh, that took a bit longer. Go on, one more time. One more time. One more time. One more. I've got a feeling. I think I figured out how it works. It might be to do with that icon. Low stamina. Nope, that's Frost. Never mind. Different thing entirely. You couldn't help me prove my point. You're useless. Alright, so any kind of barrier you see with red paint on it, like this, you can destroy. Be careful of exploding barrels. And you usually find chests behind there or some kind of secret. These are amazing, by the way. I didn't tell you this before, the last one. But if you get it right, you can just kind of walk down the middle of them. You can, like, walk on the edge. It doesn't matter. You don't take damage. And you can do the same thing with, there's a level where it's like this, but there's flame jets which heat the panels up. It's the same thing, you just walk on the edge, right in the middle, and you don't take any damage at all. It's amazing. Oh, fantastic. Right, so we got that switch. So this is going to get us this down to get that bonus chest. So let's go ahead and grab that now. Okay, how can I get over there? Can I jump that far? Or do I need to come... Oh, the other side. Okay, here we go. Run and jump. Excellent. Now I want some good gear from this. I want some good gear. That looks like a green? It's better than nothing, but I'll take it. Alright, so let's actually progress through this level. Head over this way. Now the graphics aren't... I never know how to describe graphics like this, because I'm one of those people who don't really care about, you know, the latest in graphics? What? The latest and greatest in graphical technology. You know, as long as you can make out what's happening, I'm good. You know. Don't get me wrong, I'm impressed when there is a game which takes their graphical fidelity to another level. But then, you know, I'm the kind of person who loves Minecraft, you know. I love Minecraft, I love Stardew Valley. Graphics don't hold much sway with me overall. I'm not one to mark a game down, shall we say, for that. They're decent enough. You know, they're not cutting edge by any stretch, but they're decent enough, in all honesty. The sound is actually pretty decent. You know, there's not much music when you're going through one of the levels, but that's fine. You know, it being silent does kind of add a bit of atmosphere to it, which is great. The sound is amazing, truth be told. The combat overall, look, it's not terrible. It's not terrible, in all honesty. But it does have a slight amount of clunkiness to it. Like, how do I explain this? Be easier if I show you after this combat's over, in all honesty. The light attacks should be quick, and with Driz they are, to be fair. It's kind of his thing, he does quick attacks often. But they don't feel quick enough. The controls overall don't feel super responsive. And it's kind of hard to quantify that, in all honesty. But it kind of feels like everything lags behind you by just a fraction of a second. And beyond that, I can't really explain it. Oh, epic crystals. Nice. So yeah, combat kind of is slightly clunky, a little bit sluggish, in all honesty. The dash function, however, is strange. This game is one of the few ones that does it right, in the sense that if you begin an attack, you know, we'll just do R1 for now. If you begin an attack, and then you press dash or evade during it, your attack gets cancelled, and then you dodge. You know, that's how it should be. Not every game gets that part right, but this game does. Unless you're doing a combo. You know, if you're doing a combo, then that doesn't quite work. Which is frustrating. Because in combat in this game, you're going to be pushing buttons a lot. You know, because you're not going to just be going into combat going, attack, 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 attack. You know, just in case you need to dodge. No, that's not going to work. You're going to be just rushing in like this, and you're going to be pressing your R1s and your R2s in combination to get your combos off. Because it looks better that way. But the problem is, in the middle of a combo attack, you can't dodge. For some reason, dodge is essentially disabled until the attack animation of the latest entered command finishes. And I can't think of any better way to explain that other than to show you. So what I'll do is get out of that, then I'm going to double tap R1 to get that effect off, 1/2/, and I'm going to just spam dodge as soon as I finish pressing it. Now remember, if I just press it once, you can press once and dodge at any time, and it cancels it, okay? Now, double tap 1 and dodge. Oh, that was a single press. There. See how it doesn't dodge until the second attack finishes? That's a problem. Because in a game like this, dodging is everything. You know? So, like, it's weird to see they get it half right and half wrong at the same time. You know, dodging should supersede the next attack. You know, it should cancel everything, in my opinion. But that's just my thoughts, you know, people might think differently, but personally, yeah, dodge should cancel the attack animation that you're currently doing and any combo that you currently have queued up. Ah, this guy is causing me a problem. You know what, I should block. I can't get up. Here we go. There we go. Didn't mention this before, probably should have. Every character can block. They can also parry. Let's get out of there. You block with L1, and you can also parry with the same button. And it's the same. You parry the same way as most other games. You block just before the attack lands. You know, it makes sense. That's how everyone does it. You know, why change a system that works? You know. But honestly, playing on the easiest level, I'm going the wrong way. You don't need to worry about parrying because there's no chance you're going to die. Also, I keep walking into poison clouds because, well, I'm just stupid, honestly. And I forget they're there, even though they are everywhere. Incidentally, if you see a explosive barrel next to a poison pool, just blow it up and it vanishes. Nice and easy, nice and simple. But yeah, there's like, the biggest reason, honestly, why I recommend you play on an easier difficulty than recommended is because games like this, I think it would be classed as a dungeon brawler, I suppose. Games like this, they're supposed to make you feel powerful. You're supposed to be able to walk through a level and feel like a small god, essentially. You know, you should get to the point where you only die because you either mess up or you get really unlucky. You know, you should feel like an all-powerful mini-god, and the only way you can accomplish that in this game is by picking a lower difficulty. Speaking of feeling like a small god, this is going to be the perfect time to trigger Drizzt's ultimate. So let's just go ahead and do that after we get hit once. Ready? There we go. And then we can also use his swarm function again to deal double damage, and then we can just go in for the kill. Whilst getting knocked over a lot. But it's fine, we got him. few more hits and he's done, and that's this level done. One thing I didn't explain there during that entire thing was the lock-on function. It's very strange. Usually in a game like this, you want to be able to see your peripherals more, because of the very nature of the game. You want to be able to see your the sides of the screen, so in case anything is coming up to you, trying to, box you in or whatever. But you may have noticed, when I was locking on to something, it zoomed me in, essentially removing the peripheral, which is weird. And I don't know why that's even a thing, truth be told. Honestly, I'd recommend not even locking on. I'm just doing it out of habit. But it's weird that you zoom in with a lock-on. That shouldn't be a thing. That's very strange. As is the loot system, really. I mean, it makes sense. You need to get higher difficulties, play through them to unlock the better gear. That makes sense. But combined with the strange short rest or better gear choice you have in every level, it doesn't really make sense. Because there's no way you can go through each level solo at a difficulty that's appropriate for you, because you will just constantly die. Trust me, I've tried it. It's not fun. This game isn't very good at making you feel powerful. It makes you feel quite weak. And it makes me think that maybe they should have taken a leaf from Diablo's book, where the game auto-tunes itself depending on how many people there are in the party. You can set your base difficulty, but then the more people that join, the more that increases. The base difficulty goes up by a factor of however many you want to do it. That's how the difficulties should be done. The fact that you can't really go through a higher difficulty at the appropriate level without 4 people is stupid, honestly. Like, why have the solo option if it's basically impossible in the way that you currently have it designed? It also means that getting to higher difficulties as a solo player is almost impossible unless you grind a lot. These are all the gear pieces that I've picked up. This again is a strange choice. You have to reveal the loot you have for some reason, like you're identifying it. I don't get that. But one thing I also don't get is on this screen, you can equip these items. You can equip these. In the bottom right, it says quick equip there. And you look at that and you think, oh, that's just an increase in armor, acid resistance, stamina cost reduction. That's a great choice. I'm going to equip that. But it doesn't show you the piece of gear you currently have. You don't know what you're losing. So let's remember that. Acid resistance bracers. So let's just exit there. And then when I go into the actual equipment screen, it was bracers. Okay, so we currently have 16 lightning resistance. There is no lightning resistance on these current bracers, on the ones we've just picked up, so I'd be losing lightning resistance. I'd also be losing a piece in the in this set. You get set bonuses if you have multiple pieces of gear of the same kind. In this instance, lightning resistance bracers, they're part of a set. I have a second piece, I think it's my legs, based on the glowiness. Yep, there we go. So the more pieces of the same set you have, the better bonuses you get. So I would have lost 1 point in that as well. So it's weird that you have the option to equip a piece of gear from that reward chest without being able to compare it to what you already have equipped. I mean, I'm going to equip these because they are better. The stamina cost reduction is fantastic. But the fact alone that you can't even compare it is weird. While I'm here, let's go and upgrade those bracers. Let's do that. Nope. Equipment management, bracers, upgrade. Okay, so it took me a while to figure this out because the game doesn't explain this. the blue arrows you see on the right-hand side, next to armor, level, acid resistance, stamina cost reduction, that's the amount that those numbers will increase by when you upgrade. So I'm gonna gain 1 armor. I'm gonna gain 1 acid resistance. I'm gonna gain 1%. No! I'm going to lose 1% stamina cost reduction? That says -1. That can't be right. Hold up. I gotta do this now. 5. Yeah, I got enough crystals. Is that gonna go to +6? Why would that be a blue arrow if it's gonna be worse? I don't get that.
Now you might not die so fast.
No, it's gone up to 8. Well, that's strange. File that under one of the other many bugs this game has. Whew. Alright, so that's a thing. So yeah, that's how you upgrade gear. Now, with this being an RPG, you do also gain levels. And as you gain levels, you can increase your attributes. You get a point for every level you gain, and there are things you can find in the levels to increase them further. So let's spend these 3 points I have, let's just put them all into strength, so I do more damage, and as you can see in the top, 1629, that's my current combat power. If I apply these, my power goes up to 1652. That's another way you can increase your combat level aside from gear, just to spend attribute points.
Get back to working out.
Alright, so that's that. Multiplayer. Honestly, unless you have a group of people that you can play this game with, I would recommend not playing multiplayer. As much as I've said you can't do the higher difficulties without a group of 4 people, don't do it. Because where do I start with this? Okay, so there's no way to search for a specific kind of game. You can't search for people that are the same level as your current character. You can't search for a game where they're at the same point in the story that you are. There's no search function at all. You just kind of join a game, and whichever one it finds first, it puts you in. Which is great because it means you get to a game faster. But it's also bad because of the way that the overall system works. The party leader has absolute control over what level you go to and what difficulty setting you play at. Which on the surface might not seem like a bad idea until you realize that the party combat power is an average. It doesn't show you each player's individual level. Which means that, and this happened to me, if you, for the sake of argument, let's say you are a combat power 1000 player, right? You've got a fresh character, you go into the game, and it's power level 1000, alright? And you join someone's game whose power level is 2000. Alright, combined, you've got 3000, which means averaged out, that's 1500. Now 1500 would signal to the party leader, oh, that's the recommended one. Guardian level. Okay, let's go for that. The 2000 ranked person is currently sitting at champion level. They could maybe handle that. They could maybe handle Guardian. The 1000 level person couldn't. It would be impossible for them. They'd walk into that game, they'd walk into that level, and they would just die in 1 or 2 hits. And that's not fun for anybody. So really, that's a strange option. There should have instead been a way to look at each individual player's combat power, because it would avoid frustrations like that. Even if it meant you got kicked from a group, I'd rather get kicked than spend 20 minutes dying over and over, you know? I wouldn't even get 20 minutes, 5 minutes dying and I would just quit. So that's the biggest issue with the multiplayer function. Now, on to Catibri and her unique set of bugs. Let's start with one of the more egregious ones. Now, every single character, if you go into their screen here, has the ability to unlock different moves. Most of these revolve around doing button combinations. This one, for instance, you know, R1 while holding forward to do that, tap backwards and R1 to do a rising kick. You know, all characters have this ability, that's fine. You know, so we'll do that rising kick. Tap backwards and R1. There we go, nice and simple. You know, we can tap forward and R1 to get that, tap forward and R2 to do a jumping arrow shot. Perfectly fine. Makes sense. The problem is, as the archer of the group, you need to aim so you can get a more accurate shot. Okay? And because of the nature of the game with everything moving around, you would also need to move around. The problem is, aiming does not lock out those moves. So if you're in this position and you're aiming, and you tap forward, you know, and R1 to shoot because you're getting closer to something, this will happen. If you tap backwards to move away from something just before you shoot, this will happen. It takes you out of aiming and you can still perform those moves, which is incredibly frustrating. You know, you could be fighting something, getting a couple of shots off like that, tap backwards just before you do a thing or whatever, and then suddenly you're doing that.
No, I can't buy for my own supply.
So that's a thing that needs to be changed. And there's also another problem with Cadibri. I'm doing the tutorial for a reason here. There's a unique bug which for some reason can only be triggered when you're in combat with something, and I don't understand that. But I'm going to show you anyway, because it's a strange one for sure. So one of Catibri's things is she can charge her arrow attacks. Okay.
There, baddies.
She can charge her attacks to get more power behind them. Absolutely fine. Makes sense. This is what it looks like. Okay, not a problem. You know, you can charge them up, whatever, it's fine. The problem is, if you repress R2 or R1 to charge your next attack too soon after releasing, the animation locks like it has there. Like, you may have noticed it kind of juddered for a split second and then it just kind of cancelled itself. There. At this point, I'm holding R2 down, so it should be charging up the next shot. But it's not registering that I'm actually holding the button. So if I let go, one of two things will happen. Either it will think I've just quickly tapped R2 to give me a simple shot, or it won't even recognize the fact that I'm holding it at all. Let's find out. Let's play that roulette. Alright, so that was just a single tap shot there. We'll do it again. Prove it's not a fluke. Full charge, let go. There we go. And it happens every other time. Like, if you've locked it and try it again, the animation then plays out as normal. But if you do the same thing, let go, repress too early, it locks. But again, it only happens in combat. And I don't get that. Because it means that there's a combat flag in this game. Which usually, when a game has a combat flag, it means that you are prohibited from doing certain actions while in combat. Usually, it's the kind of thing where you can only use one potion per combat. That's the most common one. But there's nothing like that in this game. Which is bizarre. So I don't get why there's a combat flag anyway. You know, it's strange. There's something else to do with Catibri as well. One of her attacks, her abilities, is like a rain of arrows kind of thing. Not sure if I can trigger it here, because again, we're not on combat, this isn't an actual level, but the game doesn't recognize elevation differences. So this might not work, but in general, if you're in the level, it does. So what should happen is I trigger rain of arrows, and it should fall down and hit the floor. That's what should happen. But when you're in an actual level, a mission, it doesn't recognize elevation very well, and it would just land in midair around about this point. Usually. But again, we're in the hub, so it might not work as intended, but trust me, it's a thing. Let's give it a go. Yeah, it's working as intended here, which is weird. But in an actual level, it doesn't. It just stays the level you are at, which is, I don't understand. There's so many things wrong with this game, which is frustrating because, honestly, I'm still kind of enjoying it despite all these issues. You know, playing at a lower difficulty makes the game, I don't want to say tolerable, but that ultimately is the truth of it. It makes you feel powerful the way that these games are supposed to make you feel. You know, you can walk through a level and just decimate enemies left and right, like you're supposed to. You can choose the increased loot rarity option, like you're supposed to get better gear. And honestly, there's not that many things they would need to change to make this game good. Obviously fix the bugs. Obviously fix the bugs. But what I would do, personally, is remove loot from the levels. Remove loot from the levels entirely, because you can't equip them in the missions at all, so that's kind of pointless to begin with, and instead have the upgrade crystals as a reward. Because here's the thing, you can come to this guy and you can increase... Why can I not? Oh, hold on, I don't have enough crystals for that. Whoops. You can increase... I haven't got any common crystals. Oh dear. You can increase the rarity of your crystals for a gold price. Like, I've just made rare crystals there. I'm now going to make some epic ones. I'm going to make 10 epic crystals, and then I'm going to just come back down here. I got no money, but I could absolutely make a legendary crystal. You can upgrade and downgrade these crystals here. So what I would do is scrap the loot system from the missions themselves, and instead have this guy sell the gear. Have this guy sell the gear that you can buy with the crystals. That way you can still go through the game at the easiest difficulty, and it'll take you a while, but you can still then get really good gear to increase the difficulty level that you can do on the next mission. That's what I would do, and it makes way more sense than the system they have currently. You know, I'd also make it so that regardless of if you chose rarity increase or checkpoint, you get a checkpoint. You know, you've got to that point in the game, you've defeated every single enemy up to that point, you should get a checkpoint. You shouldn't potentially punish the players twice. That's just frustrating. I'm going to try this again. Can I get to a higher point anywhere? Or is this it? Maybe I could do it. Nah, that's just silly. That's just silly. Let's try it here, actually. Pointing over here. Nope. Worked as intended. Again. In the hub. But not in the level. Weird. So yeah. This is Dungeons & Dragons Dark Alliance. It has a lot of problems. But I'm still enjoying it. It's one of those games for me at this point where it's a dumb, fun one at the right difficulty. You just play it for like an hour, turn your brain off, and just beat things up, basically. That's what I treat this game as. If you want to play this as a serious game, you're going to be massively disappointed unless they make some major changes. Getting rid of these bugs is number one. Getting rid of this strange combat flag, which doesn't need to exist. See, animation's not locking here, no matter how hard I try. Only in combat. I don't get that. But yes, as a dumb, fun, turn your brain off kind of game, at an easy difficulty, this game's kind of fun. You know, at the required difficulty, played at any kind of serious capacity, you're gonna give yourself an aneurysm, especially playing solo. Hope you've enjoyed this, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.